Welcome to No Marks Allowed. This is the show that covers sports, sneakers, and culture. We gotta get to the AFC divisional round. The homer for the domer. You know I'm a Broncos fan. And when we played the Buffalo Bills, my worst fears became true at the beginning of the game. We were up by 3 points, but Josh Allen was Josh Allen, man. And I can see why they call him Superman because I didn't know any of these skill players for the Bills except for Kincaid and uh, James Cook. And Josh Allen went down the field, first possession, got him up 7-3. Now we was able to get a few stops. We got a big fumble when Alex Singleton, popped James Cook and the Ufunga covered the ball. We went and scored a touchdown with an offensive lineman eligible tackle play from Sean Payton. Then we were able to get another big play from our defense when Nick Mardito had a sack and forced a fumble on Josh Allen, and we couldn't cover that. And then we went up, 17-10, and then Josh Allen tried to make another Herculean play at the end of the first half instead of taking a knee, and he fumbles the ball. So we up 20-10. Now, mind you, we got a chance. Or no, I think the Nick Bonito play came in the second half when we were up 20-10. He sacks Josh Allen. Josh Allen fumbles and we recover that. We got a chance for the death blow to go up 17. But on 3rd and 4, Peyton calls a conservative run play. Like you got Bo Nix. And he went up by 13. But Buffalo, with Josh Allen being Superman, ran us down and ended up taking a 24-23 lead. And then the biggest play of the game is us forcing the field goal when we was down 24-23 because they could have went up by 8 or 9. Jim Nantz was talking about it when he threw the ball to Shakur and Shakur caught it and ran it in for a touchdown. I thought we was done because we was down 24-3. But Jim Nantz was like, no, it skipped off the ground. It happened so fast when Shakur grabbed it off scooped it. It looked like he caught it and ran it in for a touchdown, but it was the incomplete pass. I was so happy because that made it 27-23. And Bo Nix goes down and scores the game winning touchdown. Hit Marvin Mims on a deep pass. But Josh Allen, once again, he gets the blame for the loss, but he takes them down into overtime, down the field, and gets 3 points in the overtime. Now, overtime comes. This is where all the controversy starts. No penalties called at all, rarely. But in overtime, the referees want to play a part in the game. And they made some right calls, they missed some calls. Now, the call they missed was a holding in the end zone that would have ended the game. Well, you can say, well, the referee can't call that game. We don't want to see overtime in like that. Okay. But then a good call was made when Josh Allen threw a deep pass to Brandon Cooks on the 3rd and 7 after stopping us. They stopped us and got the ball back. I forgot to mention that. But after Josh Allen throws this huge bomb on 3rd and 7, it looks like Brandon Cooks comes up with it and we're cooked. But no, Jim Nantz says, oh, it's intercepted by McMillan. The referee goes like this and points the other way. Now, in slow motion, it looks like it could be a catch, but in and regular speed, Cooks never had control of the ball. You got to complete the process of the catch. So suppose Brandon Cooks caught the ball, got 2 feet down and landed, and the ball came out. That's an incomplete. So why isn't it's the same when Cooks hits the ground, McMillan takes the ball from him before he completes the process of the catch. And I think an interception like this happened 2 weeks ago when they said someone intercepted the ball and the receiver, and the same thing happened. And everybody got to put their 2 cents in. Richard Sherman says, oh, I'm a DP and I know that's a catch. Well, you're not a referee. I know it's been times you got called for pass interference, and they told you, oh, and you said, oh, that wasn't pass interference. And then on the broadcast, Terry McCauley will say, oh, that was an interference. I'm going by what the refs say. And every single ref in the NFL And every single ref on TV said that was an interception because Brandon Cooks didn't complete the process of the catch. Now, at this point, everyone's tired. The defense of Denver is tired. The defense of Buffalo is tired. So now everybody is trying to get the advantage on the field without seeing it, hoping the refs don't see it. Now, the first interference call, okay, I'm with hand fighting, but you catch the ball with two hands. Johnson is restricting Curtin Sutton from using the other hand to catch the ball. They call it interference on that. We're not close enough yet. So Bo Nix gets one-on-one on the old head, Tre'Davious White. He takes it. Now, Mims is going up for the pass before the ball even gets there. Tre'Davious White is tackling Mims by the waist. That's interference. That's not hand fighting. You tackling the guy by the waist. And you got to call that flag because if the Bills would have been in the same situation and Riley Moss was doing that to Brandon Cooks, they would have wanted it. It's such thing as hand fighting, but then when you tackling a motherfucker before they get the ball, that's interference. Now they say Bo hurt his leg the second play of the end of overtime, and I'm thinking it's when they say that it's either when he threw the ball to Mims and got the interference. A lot of people think it's when he hiked the ball and downed it in the middle of the field for Bill Lutz to kick the winning touchdown. I mean the field goal. I'm sorry. So now the Broncos win, and Buffalo Bills fans are crying about the calls. You can't cry about the calls. Josh Allen had a good game with 5 turnovers. Most teams would have been blown out. They would have been blown out, but Josh Allen was in a position to win this game. The Denver Broncos defense made great plays at the end of the game. And that's why we're the number one defense in the league remaining in this playoffs because our defense has been making big plays all year, whether it's against the Buffalo Bills, the Washington Commanders, our defense has been getting stops that ended up winning us the game no matter who we played, whether we played against Houston, whether we played against Oakland, Las Vegas, or whether we played against the stinky Jets or the stinking Raiders. Our defense is making plays to win the game against the best teams in the NFL and the worst teams in the NFL. So it's just sad that, that game had to end with controversy and Bo Nix is getting hurt and we got to go with Stidham. I'll get to that later in my last segment.
To the championship game. Here it is on the way, and the Denver Broncos have won it in overtime.
So I'm not going to read too much. He had a bad game. It's his first one. The city of Buffalo, they are the bigger story. The fans of Buffalo. Now, this is a city that has nothing. I don't know what they're doing right now, but I guarantee you there's 8 feet of snow on the ground. And I haven't looked at the forecast. I guarantee you there is. They live, breathe, die with this team. They're some of the best fans, not only in football, in all of sports. This country, soccer, whatever. This is their team. Sabres haven't been good forever. They're okay this year. The way they lose every single year, it seems, is so unfathomably graphic and gruesome. I said, I think this franchise is the biggest loser franchise in sports. They obviously famously lost 4 straight Super Bowls.
Yep.
They can't advance passes around. They're
About the AFC division or the other game, New England and CJ Stroud and the Houston Oilers. And I'm looking at Instagram. There's a post that says the Patriots beat the number one defense in the NFL. And somebody under the comment said, no, CJ Stroud beat the number one defense in the NFL. And just like Sean Payton after getting blown out in Buffalo at the end of that last year in the playoffs, Sean Payton said we need to find out a way to get this game in Denver. Houston needs to find out how to get a home game in Houston because they're 0-6 in the divisional. And things like that would get coach like D'Amico Ryan's fired because Josh Allen just lost to the Broncos and McDermott got fired. So McDermott should go to Baltimore. McDermott or Tomlin. Tomlin can come to Buffalo. But McDermott is a good coach. He should have been fired. But Like CJ Stroud just stinks. I told y'all last episode that CJ Stroud is gonna be the reason the Houston Texans waste a good defense. He cannot play in the cold against the sorry Steelers. I don't know how they won that game 30-6. They should have lost 30-6. And I think that's why Tomlin stepped down. Because he turned the ball over like 3 or 4 times in that game. But New England, they still had chances after the third turnover to win that game, and C.J. Stroud could not get it done. He was throwing hot balls, getting them picked, getting them ran back for the touchdown. And then New England, you know they're gonna make plays. They got too many weapons, and they're too good, and they're in Foxborough. So Drake May was able to make plays, but even when Houston could have stopped New England to try to get the ball back from CJ Stroud, they seen it in CJ Stroud's eyes that he checked out. So when CJ Stroud checked out, the Houston Texans checked out. And I don't know if you give up on CJ Stroud, you should just gotta get him a home game or hope your road game is against the Miami Dolphins, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Las Vegas Raiders, or the Los Angeles Chargers. Because that's the only way CJ Stroud is winning the road game. But most likely it won't. You would have to go through Foxborough, Denver, Baltimore, Pittsburgh if they improve, Buffalo, and play a home road game. You didn't even win your division. You were a wild card. So unless that happens, and say D'Amico Ryans ends up being he's 3-2 in the playoffs. Imagine if he loses three more in a row because they can't get a home game, and now you're 5-3. No, you're 3-5 in the playoffs. D'Amico Ryans is going to get fired despite him being a defensive mind because C.J. Stroud don't get it done. And a lot of people were saying Davison Mills should have came in the second half. So this is crazy. So the AFC Championship, we got New England, and we got Denver. And I'm going to get back to this in the last segment because New England and Denver, we all know the history. We beat New England 3 times in the playoffs with Tom Brady. So it doesn't really matter about the backup quarterback situation, if you ask me, because our last Super Bowl win, Peyton Manning had 130 yards and no touchdowns. We beat Carolina 24-10. I'm not trying to get into it too much, but I'll get into it in the last segment.
In trouble. That ball is up for grabs. Picked off. Back the other way, Jones. He is in for the touchdown. May. End zone. The catch. The touchdown. Diggs. Anderson coming off the edge. May steps into it, takes a shot downfield, and caught for the touchdown.
Over, and Jared Stidham will be the starting quarterback for the rest of the season. And it was hard for me to sleep and even think about football for the first 2 hours, but I was like, it's next man up. I can't sit back and complain. But this segment is special because we're going to count down the best, and the worst backup quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl. Number one is obvious, Tom Brady. He backed up Drew Brees after he got hurt. And after he lost the Super Bowl to Brett Favre with New England and the Packers, he was coming back and it was having a great season for New England, but got hurt. Tom Brady took over. And at the end of the season, Belichick said, you can't lose your job to injury. And this is why Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. And he let Tom Brady stay in, and they led, the Patriots to a victory over the LA Rams, or it was the St. Louis Rams at the time. And then the rest is history. Brady won 6 more titles with the Patriots. No, 5 more titles with the Patriots, and 1 more with Tampa Bay. He lost, 3 Super Bowls, but he won 4 more to make up for those 3. So he's like 7-3 in the Super Bowl. So Tom Brady is the GOAT. Now, unlike LeBron, that didn't make up for his losses, Brady made up for his losses to take him over Joe Montana, who was 4-0 in the Super Bowl. But the next best backup quarterback to win the Super Bowl is Kurt Warner for the St. Louis Rams. He backed up Mark Bolger, and Mark Bolger got hurt. Kurt Warner was in the grocery store playing in the semi-pro league, I think it was, working at a grocery store, but he was cooking, and he got an opportunity to play for the St. Louis Rams and led them to the 13-3 record, the greatest show on turf, and end up winning the Super Bowl with the St. Louis Rams. Then went on to the Arizona Cardinals, take them to the Super Bowl. And if it wasn't for a great catch, who some people say it wasn't a catch by Santonio Holmes, Kurt Warner would have won the Super Bowl with another team that never won the Super Bowl before he got there, which is the Arizona Cardinals. So Kurt Warner is the, second best backup quarterback to win the Super Bowl. The third best backup quarterback to win the Super Bowl, I would have to say, is Trent Dilfer, because I think he did go to play for Seattle, and did he take Seattle to the Super Bowl and they lost to the Steelers, or was that another Dilfer? But I know Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, but Tony Banks was the starter, so he came in, took over for Baltimore, was more than the game manager, a little bit more than the game manager. He was making big plays to Shannon Sharp and also other receivers when they came down to him making a big play. But it was mostly that defense that took him on the road to win the Super Bowl. Now, that's crazy because Baltimore didn't even give him another chance. They got Elvis Gerbach out of free agency because he was putting up numbers in Kansas City and was like, "You're going to be our starter. And if you can do half of what you did in Kansas City with our defense, we're going to win 2 or 3 more Super Bowls. We're going to start the dynasty." Did not happen. Elvis Gerbach did not win another Super Bowl with the Ravens. It took them years, almost 8 more years, until they drafted Flacco, and he ended up winning the Super Bowl with John Harbaugh, giving the franchise a second. Now let's get to the worst backup quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl. Now we're gonna start. It hurts me to say this, but the first black quarterback that ever won the Super Bowl, Doug Williams. He was the backup for Jay Schrader, and they end up going to the Super Bowl. And this proves to you that teams win Super Bowls, not players. How Doug Williams get a Super Bowl and Josh Allen didn't? Doug Williams was cheap juice, but he got that one opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and he lit the Denver Broncos up with 3 or 4 touchdown passes. They beat the Broncos 42-10. Never heard from the nigga again. Now, the other worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl that was a backup, it was uh, Jim Plunkett. He was the backup for the Raiders. And he got an opportunity to back up the Raiders in the Super Bowl and then ended up winning. Oh, I forgot one of the best players, backups to win the Super Bowl was Roger Staubach. Roger Staubach was the backup for Craig Morton, who used to play for the Denver Broncos. And I think he took Denver to the Super Bowl shortly after Staubach replaced him. And I think Staubach ended up beating the Broncos in the Super Bowl with the Cowboys. But Roger Staubach is also one of the best backup quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl. And I forgot one of the best quarterbacks to win, backup quarterbacks to win the Super Bowls was Nick Foles. When Carson Wentz got injured, Nick Foles put up a hell of a season for the Philadelphia Eagles and ended up winning the Super Bowl against, you know, the New England Patriots. Now, I think his name is Murrow. He's one of the worst backup quarterbacks. He backed up Brian Greasy and won the Super Bowl with the Dolphins. So he's one of the worst. So it goes to show you backup quarterbacks can win the Super Bowl. I just named 5, 6, 7, more than 5 that backup quarterbacks that win the Super Bowl. And what people don't know about Jarrett Stidham is Jarrett Stidham was paid big money to come to Denver when Sean Payton got there because the plan was to be if Russell Wilson didn't work out, Jarrett Stidham was going to start. And Jarrett Stidham, a lot of people feel like he could, start for a lot of NFL teams. But what happened was when Russell Wilson sucked and they was going to take the big hit because Sean Payton didn't want to be there no more, Jarrett Stidham was supposed to be the starter. And, we wasn't expecting to draft Bo Nix. We didn't think Bo Nix was going to be there. But Sean Payton didn't want to make the same mistake John Elway did by not picking a quarterback in the first round. John Elway could have picked Josh Allen and decided not to. He went with Bradley Chubb. He said he couldn't get the team to go with it. But John Elway said he wanted to override it. And this is a time when Sean Payton said, I'm not making that same mistake. I'm taking Bo Nix in the first round. He's sitting there at number 12. I'm not getting JJ McCarthy. I'm getting Bo Nix. Because at the time, all Denver drafted every year was linebacker and corner, linebacker and corner, linebacker and corner. That's all Denver drafted in the first round. So he picked up Bo Nix. Now, we're expecting Bo Nix to sit a year because he went number 12. And Jarrett Stidham was killing it in the preseason. He was throwing to Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, you know what I mean? Pat Bryant. The same people that Bo Nix is throwing to now. And he was lighting people up in the preseason. But Sean Payton gave Bo Nix some, reps with the first team. And Bo Nix flourished. So Sean Payton went with the potential. It's like, let's get this guy rolling. Just like every other first round picks, we feeding you to the wolves. That's how it is. No one's sitting 2 or 3 years no more, especially not for Jarrett Stidham. So Jarrett Stidham was upset that he wasn't the starter. He thought he got finessed. And Sean Payton did kind of finesse him because he locked him up for them 2 years and said, okay, we don't end up starting you if Russell Wilson don't work out. But with Bo Nix there, he could have had Bo Nix sit a year and see what Stidham done, but no, he let Bo Nix start. Stidham probably could be in the same situation Bo Nix is in. And people say, oh, Stidham is 1-3 as a starter. He played for the Raiders. The Raiders stunk. He played the number one defense with the 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers with Devontae Adams. I think Jacoby Myers was still there. He passed for 356 yards and 3 touchdowns against the number one defense in the NFL. My homeboy, he's a YN. He liked the 49ers, and he said he watched that game when Jarrett Stidham went on. What do Denver get? Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, he has a concussion. Hopefully he's back. LaJordan Humphrey. Not to mention Troy Franklin. Can we give the Broncos some credit? Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant went out with injuries. We were down to 3 receivers against Buffalo's opportunity defense, which was the number one pass defense. We had Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton, and LaJordan Humphrey. Now, I think Cortland Sutton had trouble with Benford because he's a tall corner. 47, he's 6'1". I think he was giving Sutton some problems with the height. So Jarrett Stidham has some weapons. I would pray to God that Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin can come back because Troy Franklin was toasting niggas, bro, at the end of the season. And he's like 6'3", 184 pounds. He has some height. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he has his heights on him to get contested balls. And he's a big target going down the middle. He's 6'3". So even though I'm not expecting us to be the favorite to win, we wouldn't have been the favorite to win anyway with Bo Nix because they just slobbed the Patriots. They slobbed Josh Allen. We was an underdog until the day of the game. They gave us a 1.5 point favorite. That's a pick 'em if you a 1.5 point favorite. But you are less than a safety favorite to win. That's a pick 'em when they pick you 1.5 to win. So I feel like all is not done with Jarrett Stidham, and I feel like teams win Super Bowls because, like I said, when Peyton Manning won his Super Bowl in 2015, in that Super Bowl game, I think he had like 140 yards and no touchdown. And he only passed the ball 16 times and we won 24-10. And I feel like the only quarterback I was worried about was two, and that was Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, because what they can do with their feet. Josh Allen and the Bills had 5 turnovers, and we still almost lost because Josh Allen can make plays with his feet. So is Lamar Jackson. Matt Stafford, Sam Darnold are going to be sitting ducks. You don't get that ball out in 1 second, you're done. 1.5 seconds, you're done. In the AFC Championship game, when Tom Brady was going against Denver, we went at 20-18. Von Miller was getting to Tom Brady in 1.3 seconds. That's how fast the pass rush is. He shrunk down to 237 pounds from 245 pounds. Damn, said, 1 point, bam, knocking Brady out. So Nick Bonito is the same size. He's 240 pounds. So have them 4-step dropbacks if you want to, and you let Denver in the playoffs. Uh, Drake May, drop back 4 steps if you want to and see what happened. And if we get to the Super Bowl against Matt Stafford or Sam Darnold, drop back 4 steps if you want to and plant that foot down. As soon as you plant it, bam, you're getting sacked. And not only does that that I don't fear Sam Darnold or Matt Stafford because we got that middle rush, that rotating middle rush with Zach Allen. When he played for Arizona, he used to kill the NFC West. Zach Allen did. And you got DJ Jones to stop the run if we go against Seattle because, Charbonnet is out. So they got Kenneth Walker. And the Rams got Kyron Williams and Blake Corn, who was smaller backs. So if we can stop the run, I feel like we can. And those defenses ain't lights out. Like they don't have a passion. I feel like we can win the Super Bowl still. We're not going to be a favorite, but we also not cooked either. Because like I said, the quarterbacks I fear is not in the game anymore. And I know Drake May has some mobility, but the Patriots had trouble protecting Drake May against the Los Angeles Chargers and Khalil Mack and against the Houston Texans. So I feel like if Sean Payton has a good game plan and we don't turn the ball over, we can win the Super Bowl. And Jarrett Stidham can go on that list as a backup quarterback that won the Super Bowl.